811. So we wanted to have a discussion with Jim Acosta about freedom of the press, about CNN, about him, and he won't come on the program. Ever. Ever. I think it's pretty relevant right now. But he follows the course of others who won't either. And I'm sitting here minding my own business, and I'm listening to the news at the top of the hour. I don't know what news you get, but the network news I get is just awful. Every anti-Trump spin you can imagine. So Omarosa, all of a sudden, is a newsmaker. Nobody cares about her. Nobody ever cared about her. If she'd written a positive book about Trump, they'd blow her off. You'd never see her on TV. But the Associated Press got an advance copy. I wonder how that happened. It's from the publisher and their publicist, hawking the book. When the president wasn't at, at these various sites, when his wife wasn't around, he was like a dog on a leash. Or he said the N-word. And he did this and he did that. People will do anything for money. I'm just telling you. This woman gained fame through Trump's show Apprentice. He brings her into the White House. Apparently, she's a pain in the ass, rude to a lot of people. I don't know, I'm just telling you what I read. And finally, reluctantly, they remove her. General Kelly does. They say she was taping the president? Taping the president without his knowledge, that ought to be a crime, okay? I don't care who the president is. He's got to be able to consult with his appointees. You can't undermine the office of the presidency this way. But whatever. She will be on TV like Stormy Daniels was on TV. And Stormy Daniels, slip and fall lawyer. She will be on TV like Michael Wolff, the other author, who sleazed the president. She will be pushed out there. She'll be all over MSNBC, all over CNN, all over, because it's not news, but they want to get her story out. They can't confirm any of it. It doesn't matter. You got a midterm election coming up. They want him removed from office. If Mueller doesn't do it, they want the House to do it. You need Democrats to try. And so they're going to push this. And so now Omarosa is going to be everywhere. And you dare not question her, because she's a woman and an African-American. You can't say anything. Because then you're like David Duke. Then you're like David Duke in the Klan. Can't say anything. Incredible, isn't it? I mean, I'm telling you exactly how this is going to roll out. It's already rolling out this way. So the book's not out, but AP has it. Top of the news, network news, the news that I have to listen to, already pushing out little nuggets in the book. Like the Comey book. They don't pay any attention to my books. They don't pay, which are serious books. They don't pay any attention to Greg Garrett's book or Judge Dineen's book or Gutfeld's book or you name it. But this nobody, Omarosa, and she is a nobody. She was on the inside, don't you know? She heard everything. President of the United States. Absolutely incredible. Just to keep pushing the narrative over there at the Jake Tapper. And Jake Tapper, where's that, where he's attacking Sean, Mr. Producer? Do we have that? Let's play cut 13, because Jake Tapper now has assigned himself the responsibility to determine who's a journalist, who's not. And Jake Tapper was a mouthpiece for a left-wing House candidate, Mezvinsky. Remember her? Remember Mezvinsky? Well, he was her communications director, whatever the title was. He was also a mouthpiece for handguns controlling. But now he's a journalist, and he gets to decide who is and who isn't. Well, he's not. What makes him a journalist? Is he self-assigning? Self-designating? Why is he a journalist? I'm serious. Why is he a journalist? Cut 13. Go.
He will talk to Lester Holt.
And by this is Amanda Carpenter, somebody I've liked in the past, but boy, does she have a hate on for Trump. She used to work for Ted. Cut 13, go.
He will talk to Lester Holt, he will talk to Sean Hannity, but he won't talk to somebody when he's accountable for it. And so I think that's a political answer because he wants to make this thing all political to try to win that argument. But I think people who want to see this investigation come to a close have to put the pressure on that question, why he will talk to journalists but not Mueller.
Well, I don't know if
let me help you out, Amanda. The reason's simple. One can indict and one can't. One is a criminal matter, one is not. It's so obvious. Why are you posing such a foolish question? Why are you posing such a foolish question? He can talk to journalists, but not a prosecutor? So you don't think the president should talk to journalists? No, I think he should talk to the prosecutor, but that would be stupid. Why should he do that? What, are you afraid? No, it's not a question of afraid. It's a question of being a rational attorney giving rational advice. You really need to be a little bit more circumspect. I've liked you. I like what you've written in the past, but you're really flipping out. Let's start from the top, because otherwise we won't get all of Jake Tapper. Go ahead.
He will talk to Lester Holt, he will talk to Sean Hannity, but he won't talk to somebody when he's accountable for it. And so I think that's a political answer because he wants to make this thing all political to try to win that argument. But I think people who want to see this investigation come to a close have to put the pressure on that question, why he will talk to journalists but not Mueller.
Well, I don't know if everybody mentioned there was a journalist, but okay.
Sure.
I mean, certainly.
Yeah. Oh, good one, Jake. Yeah. That Jake, he's a funny guy. I don't know if everyone mentioned there was a journalist, but certainly Lester Holt is. Yeah, because I agree with Lester. I like Lester. Lester's a journalist. Sean Hannity, of course not. He's on Fox. Nobody on Fox is a journalist except Shep Smith and the others who disagree with the president. They're journalists. Sean doesn't say he's a journalist, but you do. That's the difference. Sean is honest. You're not, Jake. You're an ideologue. Every now and then you'll throw a crumb out there. So some conservative will say, but Jake's pretty good. Look, he balances things. Look what he said over here, and he said, but Jake, some of us are old enough, wise enough. We know what you're doing. You're a fraud. And you're not the only fraud at CNN. CNN's filled with frauds, like Wolf Blitzer with his leading questions. Don Lemon, dumb as a rock. Brian Stelter, dumb as two rocks. And what else is over? Oh, Chris Cuomo, dumb as three rocks. CNN, no ratings, and yet there they are. So Omarosa has a book coming out, and so, we have to interview her. She's very important. Like James Comey, a liar, a leaker, but hey, we got to promote his story, too. Anybody who writes a book trashing Trump and claims on the thinnest reed to have inside information, like this guy Michael Wolff, they will push it and push it and push it. That's why we know that the Praetorian Guard media, protecting the left, protecting the Democrats. This is also why we know that not a single major story involving the FISA warrant, the dossier, the spy in the Trump campaign and so forth was broken by CNN or MSNBC or any of them. Because most of the sources that have been providing information to these so-called news outlets are Trump-hating sources. They don't want to get any of them in trouble. They want to use them to promote their ideological agenda. We can have a free press, but that doesn't mean it's a press with any integrity. It just means the government doesn't intervene. So we have a free press because the government doesn't intervene, unless, of course, you have a President Obama who sticks the FBI on members of the media, but media apparently doesn't care. So the press is free to do as it does, but that doesn't mean what it does is the truth. Jake Tapper, you're a fraud. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Let me say this bluntly. You really have to wonder at this point that we're dealing with Iran, which is an extremely dangerous country. We're dealing with North Korea. Same thing. China, enormously, gravely dangerous. Russia, too. Turkey, with its Islamo-Nazi dictator, which has been threatening us, threatening our allies, which has kept as a hostage our so-called NATO ally, a pastor who hasn't done a damn thing. The president has all that on his plate. And I don't even have to get to domestic policies. And the continuing assault on him. Outrageous, wild statements about him. You have to wonder if the people who talk like this really care about our country. I think it's a fair question. A person like Omarosa, or the so-called journalists at CNN, we're only looking for the facts. We're trying to make sure the guy's not lying. No, you're not. You're cowards. I could invite every single one of these guys on this program. None of them would come. Because they're not used to being questioned. And I would do so in a very civil way. But you have these so-called news organizations that are propaganda mills, and they are 24/7 hate Trump operations. Again, this isn't about freedom of the press. The government is not being used to stifle them. Quite the contrary. Nobody's stifling them. It's about their abuse of this power and their unprofessionalism and their ideological drive and their hatred for this man, and obviously all the people who support him. And they bring the same kinds of guests on who reinforce that, and others who may not. They're given short shrift. They're cut off. Same at MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, you name them. Do they really care about this country when they conduct themselves this way? They know what's going on. They see it. The reasons tensions between the United States and Turkey are on the rise is because of Turkey. It's because of Erdogan. You have a president who is strong. This is what amazes me about people like Bill Kristol and Neocon and others. Some at National Review, some at other places, who always have claimed that they're hawks, they're strong on national security. This president has been stronger on national security than any president since Reagan. And I know this upsets the Code Pink Republicans, the isolationists, but the president's dealing with reality. He's dealing with reality. China's out of control. Russia is threatening us. North Korea now has nukes. Iran is getting nukes. Turkey has gone south. And he sees the reality of this. He's briefed on it. He digests the information, and he's dealing with it. He's trying to build up our military, which was eviscerated under Obama and 6 years of Republican rule in the Congress. He's trying to secure our border, to protect the interior of the United States. He's trying to do all these things. And look at the attacks against him. It's pretty damn outrageous. So you have to wonder. Well, my beautiful wife just walked in. So you have to wonder if these people care about the country. I do.